Okay. Good morning, Presley. Welcome to your interview.
Good morning, Michael.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Right, if we can start off with, if you could tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am a photographer, just finished a level 3 photography course at Gloucestershire College. I studied that for 2 years and particularly specialised in studio photography. I feel like I came a long way since I started that, although I have been practicing photography for far longer. I also have a work experience outside where I have had small employment bases where I've done product photography for a small business.
Okay, good. And what made you apply for this position?
I saw the advert that you put out for this job opportunity, and I thought it'd be a really nice opportunity for me to be able to get used to working in a more professional environment inside of a studio, as well as getting to grips with further editing software, which I haven't quite mastered yet.
Okay. And what relevant skills and experience do you have?
Relevant skills and experiences. I have been in Scouts since I was age 6, and in terms of relevant skills, that has given me independence and the ability to work in large teams. And other experiences is within my college course in particular, I have done multiple projects where I've had to work either solo on a project or in large teams to do large portrait pieces with maybe multiple people involved.
Okay. And where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
In 5 years' time, I see myself not on an internship, but in a full-time position with this company, hopefully making my way up the ladder to a higher position.
Okay. And what would you say is a weakness of yours?
A weakness of mine is that I'm not big on editing software. That isn't my strong suit. However, this is something that I am actively fixing all the time, and whenever I get the possibility, I always try to edit my photos. I will say that the editing software that I'm most comfortable with is Lightroom, so I am especially focusing on Photoshop.
Okay. If you were to pick 3 words to describe yourself, what would those 3 words be?
I'm a independent, hardworking, and I like to work in teams.
And if I was to ask a current or ex-employer or colleague that you've ever worked with to describe you, how would they describe you?
They describe me as a hardworking, capable person who is excellent at working in teams and also on independent tasks.
Okay. Okay, good. You can relax. That's it. The interview is complete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some feedback. But before I do that, I'd like to ask you, how do you think you did?
I think I did all right. However, I do think I said like and too much, which gave a presence of not being completely prepared.
Okay. What did you do well?
I think I did well at conveying myself across as the type of person I am and at identifying an actual weakness of mine compared to just the typical that I work too hard.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Okay. I think overall, I think you did really well in your presentation skills. So you've come obviously dressed smartly. That's the first thing. You've addressed me in a professional manner, shook my hand, which is excellent. You've used really good positive body language over through the interview, including eye contact. They're all really positive things. Yeah. I think some of your answers were very specific, so very clear as to how you answered them. And clearly you'd given it some thought as to how you going to answer the questions. I think to make it better, I think you need to expand these questions, so your answers, because it was very short overall, the duration of the interview. So some of the ways to do that is I've just made a couple of notes here. So, for example, when I asked about relevant skills and experience, I felt like you could have given me much more specific information. about a specific skill. I mean, if you tell me now, what do you think is your strongest skill in photography?
My portraits, I think I can get very good portraits, and my use of traditional processors.
Okay, and why is it you think you're good at portraits?
That's why I have a lot of experience with, particularly in a studio environment. I don't have a lot of experience with other like subjects such as fine art, close-ups, or anything like that.
So the last time you did a portrait, how did it go?
It went really well. The models were happy to be modeling for me, and I got a really nice photo at the end of it
Why were the models happy for you to be posing?
because I effectively communicated with them and made sure that they were comfortable throughout the
Okay.
process.
So the reason I just had that conversation with these, those questions I asked is the information that I was really sort of looking for.
Yeah.
And you didn't mention about portrait, but did you, when you talked about the skills and experiences, did you? So
I think I did at one point, but I
but it
think that was
brief, wasn't it?
very brief and
Yeah.
maybe not in that section.
Yeah, but what you did there was when we had that conversation was that you talked about a specific skill that you have. You give me an example of the last time you did it, and you talked through one of the key skills, which was communication, which is a portrait photographer, like primary that a skill. You know, you've got to be able to communicate with the model or the client. You know.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm saying? So it's about being a bit more specific. And remember last week I talked about put things into stories. Because it's easier to remember them and makes it engaging when you explain that to the person interviewing. So when you ask a question what relevant skills and experience you have, you could have started exactly saying all those things that you said, and then say, oh, for example, I'm a real keen portrait photographer, so that's probably where most of my skills lie. For example, I recently did a shoot where I shot such and such and such and such. During that, I found that the models were really well with us, and I think that was probably due to my communication skills, where I'm able to communicate with the model to help them relax and then get them to do what we need them to do to get the great photos at the end. Yeah?
Yes.
Cool. So that's the main feedback is think about obviously the purpose of an interview. Obviously the company's interviewing you, but you're there to interview them as well. So you're trying to get into a position where you're going to be on a nice friendly level with them. And so just having that conversation with them as opposed to like a direct straight answer. Yeah. And I just realized as well, I forgot to ask you, do you have any questions for me? Do you have any questions for me, Presley?
What, in your experiences, what has it been like working for this company through the years that you've been here?
That's a great question. Okay. So yeah, that's a good question. But here's one thing, this is my biggest tip. Don't come empty-handed to an interview. Okay. So you don't have any, so you're going to ask me a question, yeah? You're going to have to try and remember the questions that you're going to ask because you haven't got it written down anywhere.
Yeah.
That's first thing. So to bring a notepad. And secondly, in an interview, you ask me a question, I'm going to give you an answer. But you've got to know where to make a note of the information that I give you. Yeah. And also, it's always a good idea to bring a copy of your CV. Yeah, because on the panel, maybe more than one person, and maybe someone hasn't seen it. So you can sit down and say, oh, hi there, I'm Presley, nice to meet you. Shake my hand exactly as you did, which is excellent. And then say, oh, here's a copy of my CV if anyone doesn't have it. Just shows preparation and professionalism. Yeah.
Yes.
But well done, Presley. Well done. You're the first interview of the day, and I thought you did a good job. Okay. Fucking stop. There you go, stop.